Howdy, and welcome back. So, after 2 long months, I'm finally out of AI jail. In case y'all were wondering where my channel has been for those last 2 months, YouTube's AI false flagged and got my channel terminated. So, that was really awesome, and I immediately appealed. It got auto denied by their AI, because of course it did, and it randomly got reinstated on Friday. So yeah, now we're here. And so this is going to be the February U.S. Senate prediction for 2026. There's probably going to be some interesting changes compared to last time. Last time, of course, being the video that got uploaded on Friday because it was private at the time that, or it was scheduled rather, at the time that my channel got terminated by the AI, and it just automatically went public. So that's why you got a December prediction in February. So just to explain that. But yeah, there's been some interesting developments in a lot of these Senate races, especially over the last 2 months as primaries heat up. But let's just go ahead and get started by classifying all of the safe states for each party. We're going to throw Virginia in there. I'm hesitant about Minnesota. Although, no, okay. So, in the time since, Amy Klobuchar has decided to run for governor of Minnesota. This is like a hydrogen bomb being dropped on the coughing baby that is the Minnesota GOP. And especially given everything that's been going on just this year even, I think I am going to call this safe. Whether that's Peggy Flanagan, please, or Angie Craig getting the Democratic nomination for this seat, I think that they are going to pass the 15-point margin, especially with Klobuchar and her coattails just sort of improving the margin here. So, because I mean, Klobuchar really is an electoral juggernaut. Like, she won by 15.7 in 2024 when, like, Walls was under attack from, like, left, right, and center. So that was really cool. But yeah, I think Colorado is also going to join the bunch. This is the John Hickenlooper seat. I think that he is going to get this by more than 15. The Latino population in Colorado is notable, and I think that it is going to shift pretty significantly towards the Democrats. It did go by nearly 15 to Michael Bennet in 2022, so in a much bluer year, I could definitely see this going above 15 for the former governor here. But now we get to cover the Republicans' seats, and Montana's a little interesting because John Tester has come out and endorsed an independent candidate here, so I'm going to leave it as safe red until further notice. Like, maybe this independent, kind of like how Dan Osborne is running in Nebraska, maybe this independent could give Steve Daines some trouble, but we'll have to see. For now, though, I don't know enough about it. I'm going to leave it as safe red. So, also in this category are just all of the usual states, if we're being real. But yeah, I think that's it for the safe red seats. So, yeah, there's a few more on here that are pretty close to safe. Like South Carolina, I think, is going to be between 10 and 15 points for the Republicans. I think Kansas and Nebraska both are going to be maybe like 10-ish point margins. Nebraska might be a little less so because it's Dan Osborne running, but Ricketts is much stronger compared to Deb Fisher. I think that he will have no problem carrying the seat. Kansas, I always thought was going to narrow up a little bit anyway, but now there is talk that Sharice Davids, the popular representative from the, I think it's the 3rd district in the Kansas City Metro, is going to be running if her district is redrawn and like cracked. So if Davids runs, I don't think this is going to change the category. I think this just goes from like a 12-point win for Marshall down to like a 6-point win for Marshall. I don't think she could do it statewide necessarily. I mean, it is a federal election. She's good in her district. She's very good in her district. She was outperforming Harris by a lot, but would that translate to having a shot statewide? I don't think so necessarily. I think Kansas is still just a little too red. So there's that. Florida is also going to be likely red. Florida is kind of just in its own world. Like, Ashley Moody, I think, is also a good campaigner, but the Florida Dems are, like, notoriously incompetent, so they're kind of fried. No pun intended, actually. Wow. But the Florida Dems, I think, are not in the best of spots. As for these last races, I think New Mexico I can call likely for Ben Ray Lujan. I think I can do the same for Chris Pappas in New Hampshire. And I'm gonna do it. Roy Cooper in North Carolina as well as John Ossoff in Georgia. These two have always sort of been blue, but I just like these are trending left rapidly, and Ossoff has really got the sauce in Georgia. I think he's really got a good shot to get this over 5. And it's the same with Roy Cooper in North Carolina. I have heard nothing from Michael Whatley. If it was Lara Trump, maybe it would go down a little bit just off of name recognition, but for some ungodly reason, Trump cleared the field early last year for the former RNC chair. So yeah, I don't know what the Whatley campaign is doing, but Cooper was a popular governor when he was in office, and I think he'll get it over 5. I think Georgia will be an easier sell for getting over 5 at the moment than North Carolina, but it is going to be a pretty blue year. I think this is when it flips and Roy Cooper wins it. So from here, that kind of just gets us down to the lean seats. So Mary Peltola has entered the race in Alaska, but there's other races that I want to cover first. Iowa is going to rank chief among them. Ashley Hinson is running for this seat, and she is actually an overperformer. She did win her district by 15 in 2024, whereas in 22 she won it by 8. So I think that she's a good campaigner. I think that she is going to get Iowa. Like, she's definitely going to hold that seat for the Republicans. I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be around 5 points, but that is significantly less red in the state of Iowa. So there you have that. Also here, Alaska is going to be one of those, like, red until further notice type states. There has been one poll out that has Mary Peltola up by 1, I want to say, but I need to see more data here. I think that if anybody could flip this seat, it would be Mary Peltola, but for the time being, Sullivan is a less controversial incumbent, and it's going to be a hard sell, but I think that Peltola could do it. At the moment, though, I think she gets close, but we'll really just have to see how November goes. So let's talk about Texas. Let's go ahead and tackle this one. Right now, my home state is both parties are locked in ugly, bloody primaries, and the Democratic side has seen a lot of mudslinging from one of the candidates at the other. The other candidate in this case being the far more electable option. And if right now, I do think that Tallarico is going to win the nomination, but if he's against Ken Paxton, that's why I'm putting it as lean red. I think this is like a 1.5% kind of deal for Ken Paxton. Like, I think this goes to a runoff, if anything, where I think Paxton might prevail by like 1.5, that type of deal. So this is another one where I think it could flip. It's the same situation as Peltola in Alaska. I think like both of these states are like red by 1.5. That's my take on it at the moment. For Maine, that's the next one up. I think this one is going to lean blue. I think it's going to be as blue as Iowa is red. Call me bold for predicting that, but I do think that Maine is going to be lean blue. And I think that it's whoever it's going to be, in Maine on the Democratic side, I think is finally going to topple Susan Collins. It's taken a long time, but I mean, if we're being real, it's like Sarah Gideon, I've heard, was very unpopular in the state. And she, like, granted, she lost by 8, but one thing you got to think about in that election, Susan Collins only cleared the ranked choice threshold by like 0.9%. So she really didn't win by 8 necessarily. I think she might have won by 3 to 4 when everything was said and done. I think that, you know, some of the independent vote would have split for her, but there was a left-leaning independent candidate that did take up a lot of the vote, and by a lot, I mean like 5%. So reasonably, I think we could have given some of those votes to Sarah Gideon, but because of that, Maine, I think, is going to be about 5 points for Plattner or Mills, whoever it ends up being. Michigan is the next one. This, I think, is going to be a hard sell. I've had this as tilt blue in multiple predictions because Haley Stevens is the presumptive nominee here. She's very not good as a candidate, but I think it's gotten a little bit bluer. I think this is one of those where it's like Dem plus 1.5. I think that Michigan, I think Stevens wins, but she's gonna like drastically underperform. So yeah, like the governor's race is gonna be a 3-way race, and at the moment I think Jocelyn Benson is going to outperform Haley Stevens. Like Benson is going to do better in a 3-way race compared to Stevens in a 2-way race. So it's going to be messy in Michigan, but we'll have to see who even wins the primary there. If it's Mallory McMorrow winning that primary, gonna be blue by more. Like, I'll just say that. And the last one is an interesting one. This is Ohio. This is kind of just one of those where it's like a lot of things are coming together at a perfect time for Sherrod Brown. And I'm going to give this seat to him because Vivek Ramaswamy is the presumptive nominee for governor. And this seat, I think, has, if I had to call it today, I would say that Brown wins it over John Husted. It's going to be a tough race, that is for sure. Ohio has gotten notably redder. But seeing as Brown did outperform Harris by 7, and the top of the ticket this time around is going to have somebody as unpopular as Vivek, I don't know. I think it's doable. I think that Brown could flip the seat and come back to the Senate. I think it's doable. I like that. I like that prediction. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I think that Brown flips Ohio just because he is a good candidate. Husted isn't a particularly bad candidate, but Husted is going to be dragged down by Ramaswamy being at the top of the ticket. Do I think Acton wins the governorship? Don't know, but yeah, I think it's Republicans are probably going to see some depressed turnout in Ohio as a result of that. So with that being said, that is my complete map here for the Senate this November. Ohio in 2028, because this seat will be up again then, is going to be an interesting sell, but we'll look at that some other time. But for now, that's going to wrap up. So thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all later.